Boss Up Houston Network. Come get your questions answered. We'll see you then. And remember, lawyer up. Hello. Happy Friday, everybody. It's great to see you guys, even though I can't see you through the screen. I know you're looking wonderful, doing wonderful. Welcome to the 9th episode of Lawyer Up with Steve O on the Boss Up Houston Network. Yes, I said 9th. This is the 9th episode. We've done so many. We've given you so many gems, so much information. Be sure to check out all of my previous episodes, and why we're here is we're here for my season finale. Doesn't mean this is the end, but we have to say goodbye for a little bit, to stay tuned to see if I'm gonna be renewed for the next season. I know that everybody needs the information that I'm given, so I'll definitely promise to be back, and you can see my bright shining face again. And of course, I got on some green and red today, feeling real festive. It is December, holiday season. This is my last episode of the month, so I just wanted to tell everybody, happy holidays and to enjoy yourselves this Christmas break, whether it be you're celebrating Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, any type of holiday that you normally do. Definitely make sure to make it a safe one this month. So why we're here. As usual, for those that don't know who I am, my name is Steve Okoraha. I'm an attorney practicing over 8 years, practice primarily in Fort Bend and Harris County. I do primarily family law, business and contracts, estate planning, and traffic tickets with a little bit of immigration and personal injury, but I talk about a wide variety of issues. So it's not just one aspect of law that I'm going to constantly talk about. I'm going to give you everything, even on things that I don't specifically practice in, but I know enough that I can give you the information. And why I do this is to give you the tools so that you can be successful and you can not get into a lot of pitfalls that people get into with legal issues and having to need an attorney. So this is to set you up for success, not for failure. And hopefully you don't have a lot of the same issues that I have experienced with my clients. So that's the purpose of this podcast. So hopefully you've learned quite a bit with all the information that has been given. But why we're here today is a very special topic. The name of the episode is called What's Your Side Hustle? So with 2020 and everybody staying in and a lot of unfortunate circumstances of people being laid off from their jobs, or at least just their income decreasing, a lot of people have started up side businesses, which is great. It really is great that not just for the economy, but a lot of people get into exactly what their passion is. Whether you have a craft in producing art, or selling handmade things, or you have skills with hardware and tools and building stuff, making stuff. Music. I mean, it could be a lot of different things that people start a side hustle for, but why we're here today is that I want to help you get set up in the right way, basically how to get that going, and the best way for you to establish certain things and put them in place so that your side hustle is a success. So you want to make sure you have the right business entity. You want to know if you'll need a trademark or a patent or a copyright. And you also want to know what type of account or funding you will need for your business. So those are things we're gonna talk about today. But before we do that, we got to take a quick commercial break, pay some bills, and we will be right back.
Wanna be a boss? You're watching Boss Up Houston Network. It's Boss Up Houston, where we look up, stay up, and boss up.
Geico is now offering an extra 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies.
Okay.
That's 15% on top of what Geico could already save you. So what are you waiting for? DJ Khaled to be your motivational coach?
Yo, Devin, remember to brush in a circle motion.
Thank you, DJ Khaled.
Tiny circles, Devin. Do another one. Another one.
Is this good?
Put in that work, Devin. Don't give up.
Geico. Save an extra 15% when you switch by October 7th.
Don't play yourself. Hit subscribe to play more great Geico videos. And don't forget to share.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. We are here talking about what's your side hustle. And one of those things that I talked to you about before the commercial break was what the right entity is for your business. Now, I'm going to go through the differences between each entity, whether or not each one applies to you or for what you want to do is something you also have to make that determination in terms of what your goals are. Do you want protection against lawsuits? Do you want to your income to be taxed a certain way? It all depends on what exactly you're trying to do, and there's not, it's not a one-size-fits-all type of thing. I will recommend to you what I feel the best entity, in my opinion, is, and what I push most of my clients towards. But this is just to give you a general background as to what each entity is. So, with the state of Texas, there are about 6 different types of entities that you can file as. With the first 2 that I'm going to talk about, you do not need to file with the state of Texas. You don't need to get registered with the state of Texas for. But once you go ahead and establish it, you probably will want to change to a different entity, or at least set up for something that's a little bit stronger. So the first one is a sole proprietorship. Sole proprietorship is the most common and simplest form of business. The individual engages in business activity without the necessity of a formal organization. So what does that mean? It means that you don't have to establish yourself formally with the state of Texas. You don't have to file any documents with the Secretary of State. If the business is conducted under an assumed name, then an assumed name certificate should be filed with the office at the county clerk in the county where the business premise is maintained. What is an assumed name? It's also a DBA. Everybody knows what a DBA is. It's probably the most basic thing that you will need in order to start doing business. That reserves your name. Make sure that no one else can use it and impersonate you or your company, use it in other instances. It reserves that name just for you so that you can go ahead and conduct business. And also other businesses and other individuals and the government knows that you are conducting business under that name. An assumed name certificate is something that you will file with the state of Texas that recognizes your business name throughout the state of Texas. And I'm only talking about Texas. I'm not talking about any other state. I am only licensed to practice in Texas, so I'm not going to know what other states, what their guidelines are. But it's a little similar. It just has a little bit of different nuances. Okay, so if no business premise is maintained, then an assumed name certificate should be filed in all counties where the business is conducted under the assumed name. So, if you have a business in Harris County, most of you live in Harris or Fort Bend, you should establish it first within that county. That get the DBA, go to your county clerk's office, get that name secured within that county. But if you also do business in Dallas, or you do business in San Antonio, you do business in Austin, you want to also establish your DBA there as well so that they know. And this is if you do frequent business. I'm not talking about just one-off transactions, but even in those instances, you might want to as well. Just be careful if you are going to go statewide with your business that you just go ahead and file an assumed name application with the state of Texas so that it just covers you everywhere. And that way you're not just restricted to one county. All right, so we have a general partnership, which is created when 2 or more persons associate to carry on a business for profit. A partnership generally operates in accordance with a partnership agreement, but there is no requirement that the agreement be in writing and no state filing requirement. So just like a sole proprietorship, This is something that is not required for you to file, although I do recommend that you do file whenever you do start a business. It's always good to have things official on paper, but there is no filing requirement. Just the fact that you and your partner or partners have come together to do business, that means you have a general partnership. If the business of the partnership is conducted under an assumed name, a name that does not include the surname of all the partners, then an assumed name certificate should be filed with the office of the county clerk in the county where the business premise is located. If no business premise is maintained, then it should be filed in all counties where the business is being conducted. So definitely make sure that you have that assumed name certificate done, because most of the times when you're coming together with your friends or associates, you think of a name that most of the times you think of a name that doesn't include your names, or sometimes you might think of a name that includes your names, but more than likely your name is going to reflect what your business is about. So in that instance, if it doesn't include your name, make sure to get an assumed name certificate, and you can file that with the Secretary of State's office for the state of Texas. Now, we're going to start getting into the types of entities that you're going to need to file with the state of Texas. And these are a little bit more complex and have a lot more nuances than a sole proprietorship or a general partnership. The first one being a limited partnership. It's a partnership formed by two or more persons and having one or more general partners and one or more limited partners. Limited partnership operates in accordance with a partnership agreement, written or oral. Again, like I've told you in previous episodes, an oral agreement is a valid contract. Or of the partners as to the affairs of the limited partnership and the conduct of the business. While the partnership agreement is not filed for public record, like the general partnership, that's what it's referring to, the limited partnership must file a certificate of formation with the Texas Secretary of State. So this is going to be one of your options whenever you file. A lot of business applications, a lot of banking applications, you don't, in some instances, you may not need to have an official certificate of formation filed with the state of Texas, but in most instances, you're going to need to have filed that certificate of formation. So it's always good to get that filed and documented so that your partnership in this instance is documented. The next type is a limited liability partnership. So in order to limit the liability of its general partners, a general or limited partnership may opt to register as a limited liability partnership. For this one, there are benefits that are a little bit better than just the limited partnership. But one of the downsides is that income is personal and it's taxed accordingly. For most businesses, well, some businesses, not all businesses, they are taxed at the business level, and then the income is then taxed once you receive it personally. So this basically says that the income you received is taxed as if you earned it. So that's just one thing you have to think about. And of course, you need to file a certificate of formation with the Secretary of State. All right, so now the final two are probably the biggest, the most popular forms of entities for starting up a business. And the first is a corporation. It's a legal person with the characteristics of a limited liability, centralization of management, perpetual duration, and ease of transferability of ownership interests. So you basically operate as an entity that is able to do a lot of things with its assets, to transfer assets, to characterize, liability of its members and everything. So the owners of the corporation are called shareholders. The persons who manage the business and affairs of a corporation are called directors. However, state corporate law does provide for shareholders to enter into shareholders agreements to eliminate the directors and provide for shareholder management. So a lot of times in some corporations, the shareholders do not actually run the business. They influence the business, but it's the directors that actually run the business. So there are instances where you can have the shareholders actually run the business, and that's what this is basically outlining. let's see here. An S corp, which is not a matter of state corporate law, but rather a federal tax election. A for-profit corporation elects to be taxed as an S corporation by filing an election with the IRS. So there are two different types of corporations. There's an S corp and a C corp. The way that I've structured my own business is to be taxed as an S corp because there are a lot of benefits that suit me for my business and my law firm being taxed as an S corp. Namely, the characterization of your income as business income and income that you've taken out of the business. So at the end of the year, you can decide, or at least from what you have earned and the type of accounting that you do, you can be able to designate which income gets taxed on a business level, which income gets taxed on a personal level. That's one of the advantages of being taxed as an S corp versus being taxed as a C corp. So there's a lot of other different nuances. I would definitely say contact your CPA, your accountant, to find out a lot of differences between that, and then that way you can set yourself up for, in the best position when it comes tax time for the IRS. So got one more entity to go that I wanted to talk about, but first I wanted to go to a quick commercial break. This is the next one that I'm going to talk about is my favorite. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it, but we'll talk more about that once we come back. So we'll be right back.
Where we look up, stay there.
Hi everybody, we are back. We are going to talk a little bit more about entities, and from there we're going to give you a little bit more information as well. So I told you that there was one more entity that we have, and that is the limited liability company. Now this entity is the entity that I recommend for most businesses to have because it has the most protections, and also allows you to do a little bit more, with the most important part of it being avoiding actual liability. So, limited liability company is not a partnership or a corporation, but rather is a distinct type of entity that has the powers of both a corporation and a partnership. Depending on how your LLC is structured, it may be likened to a general partnership with limited liability, or to a limited partnership where all the owners are free to participate in management and have limited liability, or to an S corp without the ownership and tax restrictions imposed by the IRS. So as you can see, there's a lot of benefits to the LLC, both being tax-wise as well as liability-wise, and also in terms of running the company, which you want to also make sure that you put yourself in the best position for when starting a business. Unlike the partnership where the key element is the individual, the essence of the LLC is the entity, requiring for it certain more formal requirements. The owners in an LLC are called members, and the member can be an individual, a partnership, a corporation, a trust, and any other legal or commercial entity. Generally, the liability of the members is limited to their investment, and they may enjoy pass-through tax treatment afforded to partners in a partnership. As a result of federal tax classification rules, an LLC can achieve both structural flexibility and favorable tax treatment. So, like I said, you know, it's stronger for you in terms of tax treatment and how you are taxed, because you get to elect to tax yourself in a way that is most beneficial to you and your business. What that is, that's really up to you. I would definitely talk with your accountant on that, and or your CPA, and see specifically how you want that to happen and how you want that to be structured. You know, like I said before, limited liability company can be managed by managers or its members. The management structure must be stated in the certificate of formation, and then the management structure is a determination that is made by the LLC and its members. So almost like the corporation is, you know, ran by its directors and shareholders, LLC is ran by its managers and its members. You have to decide which is best for you, and ultimately that is your determination. But you can see me to determine which entity is best for you. You can also talk to your CPA and accountant in terms of financially what works best for your company, and we can help steer you in the right direction. But for me, and for what I tell most people, an LLC is your best bet and offers you the most protection and the most tax advantageous position of all the different entities that we have. All right, so the next topic that we are going to talk about is trademarks, patents, and copyrights. Now, I know all of these terms get used interchangeably. We say you gotta trademark that, you gotta patent that, you gotta copyright that, you know. But there are differences between the three, and they're not all used for the same thing. Lucky for you, I'm going to tell you exactly what those differences are, and then you can see if you need any of this for your business specifically. There are advantages to doing this. Is it a requirement for doing business? I would say no. Depending on what type of business you do, it may be a requirement that you should do in order to get going, but we're just going to let you know those differences and give you that information so that you can make the best decision for yourself. We're going to start with copyrights. What's a copyright? Copyright is a collection of rights automatically vested to you once you have created an original work. To understand how these rights can be used or licensed, it's helpful to think of them as a bundle of sticks, where each stick represents a separate right vested to you as the owner. These rights include the right to reproduce the work, to prepare derivative works, which means to make interpretations or copies of them, to distribute those copies, to perform the work publicly, and to display the work publicly. So the key word there with this is automatically vested. You do not have to, these rights, you do not have to apply for them. Once you've created that work, whatever it is, it could be a book, a poem, a song, a painting, a sculpture, anything that you typically would create, and you can reproduce, you can have someone reproduce it for you. That is something that you have an automatically vested right as a copyright in. So that is something to remember in case you ever, a lot of times artists and creatives, they have the problem of people reproducing their work. Well, it is something that you need to exercise your rights, and you can come to me in order to do that, or any other attorney that deals with copyrights, in order to make sure that your rights are protected in those areas. So as a copyright owner, you have the authority to keep each stick, to transfer them individually to one or more people, or to transfer them to collectively one or more people. This can be accomplished through licensing, assigning, and other forms of transfers. The power of copyright allows you to choose the way your work is made available to the public. So A lot of times you'll have issues maybe if you're online and you're trying to listen to certain music and you can't find it in certain places. Maybe you're on Spotify and you try to go to Apple Music and it's not there. Well, artists have the choice of who they license their works to. And what a license means is basically permission to distribute, permission to show it, permission to stream it, permission to sell it. It is your right to choose who you want that to be for. Now, if you find it somewhere else and they do not have a license given by you, that's when you can take them to court. You can come see me to do that. But that is the power of the copyright, and that's something that you have the ability to decide who gets each one of those 5 sticks. All of them are yours, automatically vested within you, and you can decide how they are given to anyone. So the next one we're going to talk about is a patent. The primary goal of the patent law is to encourage innovation and commercialization of technological advances. Patent law incentivizes inventors to publicly disclose their inventions in exchange for certain exclusive rights. A patent protects inventions. So patents are specifically for things that you are trying to invent and put out there in the world. If you've come up with something, something that you think the world is going to use, something that is original, something that has never been put together, or you've made an improvement on something. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a completely original item or software or anything. We'll get into the different types of things that you can patent, but that thing that you create that is very unique, you can get a patent on, and the reason why that is because we encourage innovation as a country. We want new things to keep coming out, but we also want that person to be credited with the invention of that. So when you have a patent, you have a wide range of options in terms of who to sell that item to and how to get that item distributed. A lot of times, if anyone has watched Shark Tank, they'll ask you, do you have a patent on that? Because it matters. You don't want copycats, you don't want duplicates, you don't want companies creating that item. So I think that's just one of those things that you have to make sure that you get in order whenever you're thinking of a new invention. These inventions can include new and useful processes, machines, manufactures, compositions of that matter, as well as improvement to these. Certain computer programs may fall within the subject matter protected by both patents and copyright. So, like I said, computer programs, if you develop a process that is very unique in different industries, I can't really give one specific process. There's many different processes that you can invent, but all of these things are things that are potentially patentable. In this respect, the patent system complements copyright protection by providing protection for functional aspects of the software which are not protected by copyright. Unlike copyright protection, to get patent protection, one must first apply for and be granted a patent from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Now, this is the office that deals with giving patents and trademarks. So, whereas a copyright, it's automatically vested by the fact that you have created this original work. A patent is something that you have to apply for. They're not going to it's something that it's a stronger form of getting it recognized by the government, so that you have the rights in that work that you're doing. Unlike copyright registration process, the patent application process is expensive, complex, difficult, and time-consuming. And generally, you should definitely get an attorney to do this. It's pretty complicated. I don't do patents at all. Because they are that complicated. So I would definitely say get an agent, get a patent attorney, and they can definitely walk you through that whole process. The last one is the trademark, and this is something where I do have experience doing and obtaining for people. A trademark is a word, a phrase, a symbol, or design that identifies and distinguishes the source of the goods of one party from those of others. It could be a product label, a logo, a phrase, something that identifies your company or the products that you sell or give out within that company. A service mark is a word, phrase, or symbol that identifies and distinguishes the source of a service rather than goods. Examples include brand names, slogans, and logos, just like I said. Similar to a copyright, a person does not need to register a trademark or service mark to receive protection rights, but there are certain legal benefits to registering the mark with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. There is rarely an overlap between trademark and copyright law, but it can happen. For instance, when a graphic illustration is used as a logo, the design may be protected both under copyright and trademark law. And that is because that illustration is an original work. It's something you created, something that you may not want duplicated. But it also identifies your business, or it identifies the goods that you sell or the services that you provide. So you may also want to trademark it. So there's a lot of different instances where it can go both ways. There's a lot of overlap, but the main thing to remember is whenever you're starting a business and you have a really catchy name or logo, or you have an item that you know that is unique, not found anywhere out there, you want to talk to an attorney to see how you can protect that, because the work you do, you succeed in doing that work by making sure that it stays yours and you get to decide what to do with it. That's the best part about having a side hustle, is that it's all about you. So, all right, when we come back from our next break, we're going to talk about business funding. We're going to talk about everything you're going to need in order to establish an account. Some things you'll need, some things you won't, but we'll definitely get into all of that when we come right back. Based off of everything that I heard today, I definitely think we can lawyer you up today. Tune into the Lawyer Up with Steve podcast on the Boss Up Houston Network. Come get your questions answered. We'll see you then. And remember, Lawyer Up. Welcome back. We got a little bit more knowledge to give you, so thank you for sticking around. Hopefully you've learned something. If you're in the video right now and you're watching live, make sure to ask your questions in the comments section. I'll make sure that I get to it. If not, I'll get to it afterward. Doesn't mean I'm going to ignore you. I will definitely answer all of your questions, and of course, I'm going to give you my information at the end of the day before I leave you for the end of this season. So that you can definitely contact me and ask me whatever questions that you have. I want to make sure that your side hustle is started off on the right foot. So what we are going to talk about now is business accounts and funding. Now, everybody knows that when you start a business, you probably want to have a separate business account. Why is that? You want to make sure that your business income is separate from your personal income for accounting purposes. You're going to need to file taxes eventually on that business, so why not keep them all in its own account? And you're going to go to the bank. You're going to, try to establish, different accounts for yourself, for your business, that makes sense. And one of those accounts is an income account. Now, you want the funds that you are considering as income. If you have a freelance business and you have expenses of that business that are being paid by your client or your customer, you want to separate the part of those funds that you receive as your income into one account. You don't necessarily have to do this. I mean, sometimes you can have it linked to your business, your personal account, and have it sent there. But some businesses, they have an income account, and then they also have what's called an expense and or operating account, where the funds for your expenses go into, and that helps to pay for the things that you need in order to do that job or to operate your business. So it's good to sometimes keep those funds separate so that for accounting purposes it's easy to know, okay, this is how much I've made in income, this is how much I can pay my employees, pay myself, and this is the money that I have that I can actually put back into the business and use it for improving the business or obtaining materials in order for you to conduct your business. And then, of course, it's not necessary, but I do sometimes recommend it, depending on what type of business you have, a tax withholding account. Now, what is that? It's an account where you're able to put money away for, like just what it says, tax season. So if you're not having taxes automatically deducted from your paycheck, if you do not receive a W-2 and you receive a 1099, especially if you receive a 1099, you are going to have to pay taxes on that income. You're responsible for doing so. So every income you receive, there's a certain percentage of that you are going to have to pay to Uncle Sam at the end of the year. Now, it is up to you to calculate that at the end of the year, and also you can prepay a lot of those taxes ahead of time so that you don't have a humongous bill when it comes to March and you're scrambling to try to file your taxes and everything. So it's always good to figure out what that is. There's a ton of spreadsheets out there. Talk to your accountant, talk to your CPA. They can get you set up. There are apps out there and websites that are able to help you guys, help freelancers make sure that they're paying taxes early and on time and distributing that part of your income that is for taxes off into a separate account that you don't touch. Just ignore it, act like it doesn't exist, and then when it comes tax time, you get hit with that big bill, you're like, okay, well, here, Uncle Sam, here's all the money that is due to you. So that's just something that you can establish. 3 different accounts: income, expense, and tax withholding accounts. Is it a little bit tedious? It could be, depending on what your business is for, but that is the best way to think about it. This is the ways that you need to divvy up your funds and the income that you have. All right, so the next thing is a lot of people's favorite, is credit cards. Now, credit cards get checked through your EIN number as business credit. It's not your personal credit, but it's your business credit, and a lot of people don't have business credit. So what they may do is look at your past transactions, assets, things of that nature, so that they can establish some trust that you can actually pay and afford to make the payments on your credit card. It can be useful, especially if you have cash back and rewards associated with it. And it just helps to be able to afford to get more things for your business. And that way you're accumulating points and rewards and cash back that you can use for your business or for yourself. It's really up to you. Depending on what bank and what financial institution you use, it can definitely be a plus. Also, a lot of people that use business checking accounts, you can still have that same amount of accounting with the credit card because it operates similarly. It's a great way to establish some initial funds for your business. Like I said, if you're working with limited funds, it's a good way to be able to afford those things and then pay them off little by little as time goes along. Not everybody gets to qualify for business credit cards immediately, but it's something I would definitely recommend you do once you get started, or as soon as you are able to, because it is a way that you're able to kind of make a lot of your expenses and just pay them off gradually. It's a lot easier for your business that way. And most importantly, make sure to check the APR. What is the APR? It's basically the interest that the bank or the financial institution charges. So this is how they make their money. Most credit cards have anywhere from 10% to upwards of 25. And what that is that it's an extra monthly charge. So while you're paying back the money that you spent, they are also going to put that APR on top of it. So you want to make sure that it's something that you can afford. And also, I mean, me personally with my business, I look for a low APR so that I don't have to worry about paying back as much for my expenditures. And some credit cards, when you do apply for them, they'll give you 0% APR for the first 2 months, 6 months, a year. That's also another plus, because that means that what you spend, you pay directly back without any type of interest for a little while, and that could help a lot of people so that they're not paying more than what they can afford. All right, and the last bit or part of funding for a business is getting loans. Now, almost every business that I've ever encountered tries to get some type of loan. You go to the bank, you say, hey, I'm trying to start up a bakery business. I make cookies, I make bread, I make donuts, I make pies, I make all kinds of stuff. I need some, a loan. You have to bring them your business plan. They have to trust you. They have to verify your information, and then they decide if they want to give you that loan or not. It is them investing in you and then giving you terms of how you're going to pay it back, similar to a credit card, but it's a lot. It could be a lot more money. There are bank business loans. There are SBA loans, which are Small Business Administration loans. That is federal government. They have funds that they encourage small businesses to take and apply for, because they're trying to spur small business. That is always something that the government is trying to increase within the country is the growth of small business, and this is the way they support that. So definitely take advantage of that. Visit the SBA's website and see all of the resources they have for small businesses. It's definitely very helpful. The other one is private lenders. Now I've dabbled in looking at different private lenders, and I know a lot of other people have. They can have a lot of attractive offers, but you really need to read the contracts with them, because a lot of them can have really high APRs, and they put you in situations where you end up owing way more, and I'm talking about double, triple what initially the amount that you took from them. So you want to make sure that you look at those things with the private lenders. Depending on who the company is or the individual, you want to make sure that the terms are favorable to you in whatever instance that you're in. And of course, because of the events that have happened this year with COVID-19, there's the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, which we don't know if we're going to get another round of this. I mean, I know this was here in the beginning to the middle of the year, but hopefully this gets reinstated with the new administration, and we are able to provide some relief to small businesses, much needed relief because of everything that's happening with the coronavirus and stay-at-home mandates and everything that's going across the country. So those are really the main things that I wanted to let you know about in terms of business accounts and also trying to get funding. Definitely consult with your financial institution for what's best for you. Find a bank that has the most benefit for you. Don't think that you have to go to one bank just because it's right next door to you. There are a multitude of online banks and resources out there for you to be able to obtain funding and also establish an account. I use quite a bit of online banks just because there's a lot of freedom with doing the things that I want to do, and there's a lot of the banks that I use have no fees for overdraft, transferring of funds, all of these different fees, ATM fees. I have an account that pays your ATM fees. So if you find those types of accounts, you can definitely utilize that for your business. There's a lot more out there now than there was back then, that really help small businesses establish themselves with trying to get an account. So we're going to take a very brief commercial break, and then we're going to come back with with just a couple of last-minute tips as usual, and then I'm going to wrap up by giving you my contact information, and then we're going to say goodbye for a little bit, but not forever, just for a little bit. So we'll be right back.
Wow, that's real.
We break the silence.
Gun violence. Trauma feels so lonely.
We break barriers.
I opened that door to drinking after almost 20 years.
We break it down.
It hit me how fragile parenting is.
You're really a great father.
And we're always ready for a breakthrough.
I feel like there was a lot of anger.
I needed to be bigger.
New episodes and so many new conversations.
Red Table Talk.
Premieres September 28th
On Facebook Live.
Breakfast at Auntie D's. Take one. That's all it's gonna take.
Ricky Daddy's on the beat.
Wine, dime, killing time. Heard it through the grapevine. You the type of dude that like to get dime anytime. Wine, dime, killing time. Heard it through the grapevine. You the type of dude that like to get dime anytime. Wine, dime, killing time. Heard it through the grapevine. And you the type of dude that like to get dime anytime. John P. Sipper, Moet, Patron Sipper. You the type of girl that like to pull down the zipper.
I like those shoes.
It's a fake appetizer. After this, I'm digging your thighs. Real debonair's eyes. Look in your eyes. You gotta squirt upon your
Go sit down, baby. Go sit down.
And I'm impressed with your waist, with you shaping your thigh. Compliment you on your booty and your hair and your booty. Hey.
Here you go, baby.
Wine, dine, killing time. Heard it through the grapevine. And you the type of dude that like to get dine anytime. Comfort zone with you.
Good.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Steve-O on the Lawyer Up with Steve-O podcast. Going to give you some last-minute tips, and then we're going to wrap up for the year. With starting your business, a lot of times you're going to want to inject some of your own funds, and for the most part, it's a necessity. We don't get the luxury of getting $1 million loans like a certain president that shall remain nameless, but. What the main thing to remember is that you need to reimburse yourself. A lot of people forget to do that, and what you need to do is establish it just as a loan, like any other type of business loan, is the money that you put into it. Pay yourself back. It's important. Don't start businesses, make income, and forget to actually reimburse yourself. A lot of people do not think that they're able to, because they think that the money that they've allocated for that business is now the business's money, and they get to do with it what they want, win, lose. So just remember that when you start business, that it is okay to go ahead and pay yourself back. I mean, it sounds common sense, but a lot of people don't do it. And then, of course, there are different types of accounting that you can do. I'm not going to get into all the different types, but you deal with terms of like assets, liabilities, accounts payable, accounts receivable, cost of goods sold, equity. These are terms that you need to discuss with your accountant and make sure that you have a full understanding of this if you want to really get into the nitty-gritty of the finances for your business. So it's just something else that's important to remember with starting your business, and you want to set yourself up the best way that you can make the most money, and also be able to report all of this. That's probably the most tedious thing is the accounting and the finances. So get you someone that knows how to do it, or if you're so inclined to do so, do it yourself. Just make sure you know what you're doing, and you can ask me about that. You can ask a CPA or an accountant, and that way you can be set up in the best way possible. All right, so like I promised, I'm going to give you my contact information. My email is contact@goodmanmcgill.com. That's GOODMANMCGILL.com. My phone number is 833-529-9748. My website is www.goodmanmcgill.com, and as usual, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And this show is on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, Apple Music, and iHeartRadio, as well as your other app streaming platforms that have podcasts. You can definitely look for me there. I know you're going to miss me. I'm going to miss you as well, but you can definitely check out all of my shows. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end. Like I said, have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa to all of you. Definitely hope that I have brought some knowledge to you in a way that is going to help benefit your life, or your friend's life, or your acquaintance's life, your neighbor's life, your enemy's life. Yes, they need help as well. They need to be blessed as well. So have a happy holidays, everybody. And remember, when life gets you down, remember to lawyer up. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you around. Steve podcast on the Boss Up Houston Network. Come get your questions answered. We'll see you then. And remember, lawyer